Something is wrong in the Amazon, you can feel it in the air. A silence has fallen over parts of the jungle that were once deafening with life. The usual symphony of howler monkeys, macaws, scientists who have dedicated their lives to this emerald labyrinth are now looking over their shoulders, their faces etched with a fear I have never seen before. This isn't the calculated caution of a field researcher, this is primal dread. They speak in hushed tones, emails fly across secure servers, emergency meetings are held in sterile labs thousands of miles away from the mud and humidity. This is a panic that ripples outward, from a remote tributary of the Amazon to the highest levels of biological science. What could possibly scare men and women who regularly handle venomous snakes and track elusive jaguars? The answer is not just a snake. It is a creature that defies our understanding of the natural world. Imagine a legend coming to life, a myth slithering out of folklore and into the tangible world. The initial reports were dismissed as hoaxes, satellite tags going silent, motion-activated cameras showing a blur of impossible scale, and finally, the chilling, undeniable footage. This is not your ordinary green anaconda. While its cousins are formidable apex predators in their own right, this new species, tentatively named Titanoboa mortem or Death Titan, is in a league of its own. The most immediate and shocking attribute is its sheer size. Initial estimates based on drone imaging place its length at over 60 feet, nearly double the size of the largest anacondas ever reliably recorded. Its girth is equally astounding, comparable to the fuselage of a small aircraft. This isn't just a bigger snake, it's a fundamental shift in the scale of what a terrestrial predator can be. Its size alone allows it to generate crushing force far beyond anything we've ever measured. But it's not just the size that has scientists alarmed. Typical anacondas are ambush predators, relying on patience and camouflage to surprise their prey near the water's edge. Titanoboa mortem displays something more sinister: coordinated hunting behavior. Reports from the discovery team suggest it uses its immense body to actively herd prey, creating underwater currents to funnel fish, caimans. It also appears to use its tail as a powerful lure, mimicking the movement of a large, distressed animal to draw in opportunistic predators like jaguars. This level of tactical thinking is unheard of in snakes. Furthermore, its physiology is baffling. An animal of this size should have an incredibly slow metabolism, yet Titanoboa mortem appears to be hypermetabolic. To truly grasp the significance of this new discovery, we first need to understand the family it comes from. Anacondas are some of the most impressive snakes on the planet. They belong to the boa family and are found exclusively in South America. There are 4 known species, with the most famous being the green anaconda, Eunectes murinus. These are the giants we think of when we hear the name. They are semi-aquatic, meaning they are just as comfortable in the water as they are on land. In fact, they are far more agile and swift in the rivers and in the swamps of the Amazon basin. Anacondas are famous for their immense size. While myths and legends often speak of 100-foot monsters, the reality is still astounding. The green anaconda is the heaviest snake in the world, with some females tipping the scales at over 550 pounds. They can reach lengths of over 20 feet. Their bodies are pure muscle, designed for one purpose: constriction. When an anaconda strikes, it grabs its prey with powerful jaws and then coils, pretty much anything they can overpower. Large fish, birds, turtles, capybaras, tapirs, deer. Anacondas are apex predators. There have even been documented cases of them taking on large caimans and jaguars. After a large meal, an anaconda can go for weeks, sometimes months, digesting its massive prize. These snakes are vital to the health of their ecosystem. As apex predators, they help control populations. They are also incredibly elusive. The discovery of Titanoboa mortem was not the result of a targeted search for a monster, it was a tragic accident. The story begins with a joint research expedition from the Smithsonian and Brazil's National Institute of Amazonian Research. Their mission was straightforward: to study the effects of illegal gold mining on aquatic biodiversity in a remote, uncharted tributary of the Rio Negro. The team, led by the renowned Dr. Helena Vargas, was composed of 8 of the brightest minds in ecology and herpetology. They were tracking fish populations using sophisticated sonar and satellite-tagged indicator species, like black caimans, to monitor the health of the river system. For the first few weeks, the expedition was routine. The data they collected painted a grim picture of mercury contamination from the mining operations. The first anomaly occurred when 3 of their satellite-tagged caimans, all mature specimens over 12 feet long, vanished from the tracking system in the same 24-hour period. They didn't just go offline, their tags sent out a final catastrophic pressure reading from an impossible depth before being crushed. Dr. Vargas and her team were baffled. Following the bizarre data, the team navigated their research vessel further into a narrow, deep-water channel that local guides had always warned them to avoid, calling it Serpente Engolido, the serpent's gullet. As they deployed an underwater drone to investigate the last known location of their caimans, they saw it. The first images sent back to the boat were confusing. A massive, moving wall of patterned scales that filled the entire camera view. They initially thought it was a geological formation, but then it blinked. An eye, larger than a dinner plate, stared back, and the feed cut out. The news of Titanoboa mortem has sent shockwaves through the scientific community in the United States, and the panic is about more than a biological curiosity. The primary fear is ecological devastation. American ecosystems are already fragile, particularly in the southern states, especially Florida. They are under siege from invasive species. The Burmese python is a fraction of the size of this new anaconda, and it has already caused catastrophic mammal declines in the Everglades. The thought of a predator of this magnitude being accidentally introduced into North American waterways or intentionally introduced is the stuff of nightmares for wildlife officials and ecologists. They worry about extinction-level impacts on native species. The threat isn't just ecological, it's infrastructural and economic. Imagine a creature establishing in the Mississippi River system or reservoirs that supply water to major cities. It could block spillways, damage dams, create no-go zones in commercially vital waterways. The economic impact on shipping, fishing, and tourism would be astronomical. American scientists are running simulations and contingency scenarios, and none are good. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has held emergency sessions discussing heightened surveillance at ports and a complete ban on importing large constrictor snakes. There's also a direct threat to human life. Traditional anacondas rarely prey on humans, but a 60-foot predator with a hypermetabolic rate would see humans as viable, easy prey. Lakeside communities and rural populations in the southern U.S. would be at risk. Dr. Samuel Griffin, we are struggling to manage 15-foot pythons. We have no protocol, no equipment, no strategy to deal with a 60-foot constrictor with venom. It would be a public safety crisis of an unprecedented scale. We simply do not have a response for this. Behind the closed doors of research institutions, the conversations are stark and filled with a sense of awe and terror. Direct quotes are hard to come by as a coordinated media blackout has been attempted to prevent public panic. Leaked emails, anonymous interviews, and tense lab montages paint a vivid picture of the scientific community's reaction. One senior herpetologist at the American Museum of Natural History allegedly told his team, "Forget everything you've learned. The textbooks are wrong. We're not looking at a new species, we're looking at a new category of predator. It's like finding a living T-Rex. We are completely out of our depth." This sentiment echoes across the field. The team that made the initial discovery is currently in seclusion undergoing psychological evaluation and intensive debriefing. Dr. Elena Vargas reportedly gave a chilling account in a secure video conference. "You don't see it as a snake, you see it as a moving landscape. When its head rose from the water, there was no malice in its eyes, no anger, just a calm, ancient intelligence. It looked at our boat, not as a threat, but as an object of mild curiosity. In the genetics labs, the whispers are just as urgent. The environmental DNA scraped from the research boat's hull has been sequenced and the results are confounding. The genetic code is a mess of contradictions," an anonymous geneticist revealed. "It has markers from ancient extinct boa lines and unusual sequences we've never seen before. This hints at accelerated metabolism. It's almost as if it was engineered. Some of the younger postdocs are half-jokingly calling it the chimera. It shares a common ancestor with the green anaconda, but its evolutionary path diverged dramatically, driven by pressures we can't yet identify." This discovery is more than just a new entry in a biology textbook. It is a seismic event that sends ripples across multiple fields of science and challenges our perception of the natural world. Biologists, paleontologists, all are stunned. Titanoboa mortem is a living fossil that defies extinction. It was widely believed that creatures of this scale could not survive in today's climate and atmospheric conditions. The existence of this snake forces a complete re-evaluation of the environmental factors that limit animal size. It suggests that certain isolated habitats, like the deep, oxygen-poor river channels of the Amazon, can act as Pleistocene parks, allowing megafauna to persist long after they should have vanished. For conservationists, the implications are twofold and contradictory. On one hand, the discovery is a powerful argument for preserving the Amazon. It proves untold biological wonders still exist. On the other hand, how do you protect an ecosystem from its own apex predator? If Titanoboa mortem's population grows, or its range expands, it could trigger a mass extinction event within the Amazon itself, wiping out species like jaguars, manatees, river dolphins. For indigenous communities, this validates centuries-old folklore of giant river serpents. It forces science to reconsider indigenous oral traditions as ecological data. However, it also presents a new and very real danger to communities who rely on rivers for survival. The legendary monster of their stories is real, and more terrifying than they imagined. Ultimately, the ripple effect touches our fundamental relationship with the planet. We live in an age where we believe we have mapped, cataloged, and understood every corner of our world. We send rovers to Mars and peer into distant galaxies, yet Titanoboa mortem is a humbling reminder. There are still dark, unexplored places where nature's rules are different. Now that the initial shock is beginning to subside, it is being replaced by an urgent and contentious debate. What happens next? The global scientific and governmental communities are fractured into three main camps. The first and most aggressive faction is advocating for containment or even eradication. They argue that Titanoboa mortem represents an existential threat, a Class 1 biohazard. Proponents from military and public safety sectors push for swift operations to neutralize known specimens, to locate and neutralize them before they can breed. On the other side is the camp advocating for study. They argue that killing such a unique discovery would be an unforgivable crime against science. It could hold keys to reptilian evolution and revolutionary biochemical compounds. They propose a massive, internationally funded expedition to tag, track, and study the creature from a safe distance. Their goal is to learn, not to destroy. Believing scientific value outweighs the risk if managed properly. They dream of unlocking secrets that could revolutionize medicine and biology. A third group, environmental philosophers and some indigenous leaders, propose coexistence. They argue the creature is a natural part of the ecosystem and should be left alone, proposing exclusion zones and sanctuaries. The greatest respect we can show is to let it be. The decision is fraught with peril. An attempt to eradicate it could fail, potentially scattering it into new territories. A purely scientific mission could end in tragedy, as they were with Dr. Vargas's initial expedition. And coexistence may be untenable if the snake's population expands toward human areas. Each choice carries immense risk, and the world's governments and scientific bodies must weigh the consequences carefully. The fate of this incredible animal and potentially our own safety hangs in the balance. Will we act out of fear, or proceed with caution and respect? The debate is not just about a snake, it is about our character as a species. We stand at a crossroads. The discovery of Titanoboa mortem has closed the book on our comfortable assumptions about the natural world and opened a new, far more intimidating chapter. This is more than a fleeting headline or a scientific curiosity. Every satellite that passes over South America is now being tasked with infrared and thermal imaging sweeps of the Amazon's waterways. Every scientific institution with a stake in biology is diverting resources and personnel to this monumental issue. The world's attention is now fixed on a dark river in the heart of the jungle, waiting and watching. This creature has become a symbol of the untamed wild, a powerful counterpoint to our technologically sanitized world. It forces us to confront nature's raw, untamable power. Viewed through a screen, it reignites wonder and terror. Are we truly the dominant species, or have we been living in a calm between reigns of ancient predators? The answer is no longer as certain as it was a few months ago. The coming months will be critical. Quiet halls of power and frantic labs of science will determine the next chapter. Will we act out of fear, responding with force to a threat we do not understand? Or proceed with caution and respect, seeking knowledge over destruction? The debate is not just about a snake, it is about our character as a species, wisdom, courage, humility. So we watch. We listen to the whispers coming out of the Amazon. We wait for the next blurry image, the next impossible data point. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every shadow in the water, now holds a new and profound significance. The world has been put on notice. The age of monsters is not over. It was just sleeping, waiting in the murky depths for its moment to reawaken. And now, as Titanoboa mortem glides through the dark waters of the Amazon, a new era of apex predators has begun, and the world is watching to see what it does next. The whole world is watching.